One of the questions I get asked most often is where can I get my sewing machine serviced? And the honest truth is, there are fewer and fewer places locally that you can have this done. It's one of those skills that's really dying out. So, today I'm going to share 5 tips with you on how you can service your sewing machine at home to keep it running smoothly. And these tips will cost you nothing to do, but they could save you thousands of pounds in repairs further down the line. So, they're really worth knowing and doing regularly. So, here are my 5 tips for servicing your own sewing machine.
First up, let's gather your tools. You'll want some machine oil, a small brush, a screwdriver, a hammer, some sandpaper or a nail file, and some tissue. Then we can begin by removing the needle plate and hoovering or brushing in all the crevices. So to start with, I'm just unscrewing the little screws that I can see are holding the needle plate in position, and your machine should come with a screwdriver that will fit these screws. And then once you've taken the screws out, you should be able to just pop that needle plate off in one piece, and then you can get into the belly of your machine. I like to take the bobbin case out as well, and then I just get in there with a little brush and get as much fluff and textile fabric debris out as I can. And you want to spend a little bit of time getting into all the nooks and crannies so that you're removing anything that could be constricting the machine from moving freely. That's a really satisfying bit. You can also do this with a hoover if you like. I would recommend wiping down the bobbin case before you put it back in, and just making sure it's back in the same position, and then popping your plate back on. Even if that's the only thing you do to service your machine regularly, that is a great start. Now, if you want to do an extra thing while your needle plate is off, I would have a look at the center of your needle plate where the needle goes down into the machine and just see if there's any damage in that area. So I can see the needle has been hitting the metal every now and again, and that's created some jaggedy edges along the metal that I want to smooth out, because otherwise the thread can get caught on any little nicks in the metal as it sews. So I've got a rolled up piece of sandpaper here. You could also use a nail file. One of those small nail files that you get in crackers would be great. And then if the metal has bent in any way in that central area from the pressure of the pressure foot and the needle pumping down on it, you just want to have a little go at hammering that back into a straight position. So turn the needle plate upside down, and then just give it a really good hammer until it looks straight and flat and parallel with the rest. Now we want to oil the main shaft of your sewing machine. It doesn't matter if your needle plate is on or off to do this, you just want to make sure your needle is in the lowest position possible, and using tissue or your brush, just wipe down that main shaft of your sewing machine so that it's not got any fluff or anything like that on it. And then using some machine oil, you just want to dabble a few bits of oil on that shaft, and then immediately turn the hand crank of your machine so that the needle goes up and down, and that oil will automatically spread throughout the machine where it needs to go. Make sure you then sew on a scrap piece of fabric so that any oil residue will drip onto that rather than a special fabric. Fourth tip is about changing your needles more regularly. Now I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but changing your needles on the regular will really make a massive difference. Your whole machine is only as good as the needle it has inserted into it. I try to change our needles after every workshop so that they are fresh for the next group. We have a special jar in the studio where we dispose of all sharp things so that they're not going in the main waste. It's especially important to use the correct needle for the fabric you are sewing. Fabrics such as denim, leather, and silk all have specific needles that will make your life so much easier if you use them. You can see I'm using this special tool which came with our PFAFF Passport 2.0 machines to insert the needle, and it just holds it in place whilst I tighten the screw, which is really handy. And finally, you just want to tighten up all of the screws around your machine, so whether that's on your needle plate or the front or the back of the machine, just make sure every screw is really nice and tight and firm, because they can come loose with the momentum of sewing.